Before we end our introductory module and venture into the basics of actual game design, there is an important thing we have to talk about: the designer mindset. Now, everything we have discussed before is already part of that mindset. How to think about games and design, team collaboration, what to learn, all those things will constantly help you improve yourself as a designer. In this chapter, we will talk about some points that will be elaborated more on further down the line, but you still need to be aware of them before proceeding. First, remember the most important designer question ever: why? Absolutely every decision must have an argument. It doesn't necessarily have to be a complex one, though of course that depends on what decision we're talking about. But without asking this question, you are essentially just randomly poking in the dark with no critical thinking. Considering the why of things will greatly help you decide what to include, what to cut, and how to solve problems. Second, be open-minded and ready to be wrong. Some of the worst designers to work with are those that always want to be right, rather than always do what is best for the project. There will be times when things won't work out. What you thought will be good will not be. There will be people who come up with better solutions than you have provided, and even those who agree with you can still challenge your decisions. All that is part of the job and the profession. Be ready to talk, be ready to take a look at the issues from all angles, be ready to accept what others say, and be ready to not be the one who is always right about things. Put the health of the project first, and the question why mentioned before will help greatly as well. Then, when you play games, make sure to not go through only the type of things you like. Play games that are out of your zone of interest, and also play games that aren't of the highest quality. And regardless of what you play, always analyze. At first, constantly keeping a critical eye on games will remove some enjoyment out of them, might feel like work. But as you train yourself to do this enough, analysis will become just something that automatically happens in the background. You need to make sure that you are not limited to knowing how things are done only in a particular subset of games, and always have some understanding in regards to why things work out or not. Plus, the bigger the variety of games you play, the more inspiration you will have. And lastly, keep yourself informed. This doesn't mean that you need to play absolutely everything as soon as it comes out. For example, I have a huge backlog of games that I'm steadily clearing out. Some of them are classics 10 or more years old that I just never had a chance to try out personally. But you always need to keep an eye out on what is going on in the industry so you could adapt when necessary. And you might notice that all these tips have one common thread going through them: don't put yourself into a bubble. You need to make sure your view on things is always as broad as possible. If you follow these tips, as well as everything else that we have talked about in chapters before, you really have everything needed to become a great designer. The most important part of this job is how you approach problems. Acquiring the necessary skill set, on the other hand, is just a matter of time and practice.